a sword used in the former days, like a sword, a spear, or the sheath, or a knife, and so on, or even the stone used as a weapon in those days. Even nowadays it is being used. Now, what do? You have to give them these words by giving them the drawing. You draw them and ask them to name or match them. Or you can have a brainstorming exercise. Ask them to write down all the names that of weapons used in the warfare in the Middle Ages. Some of them may know, say, the bow, or at least the arrow. They may not know the word bow. Or they may know the word sword, but not the spelling and so on. So ask them to list all of them. Ask them to compare notes and then prepare a long list. Post them on the chalkboard and then make corrections in spelling, and you have a long list. Thus, they learn a number of things, right? So, you can through games or drawing. And if it is not possible, any of this is not possible, very rarely you can introduce the word by means of simply giving dictionary meaning, contextual meaning, and also through various other situations, pictorial and other situations, right? So the purpose is reading activities. The purpose is to prepare the learner to read. And not only words, sometimes the concept may be different. And this also can be done through all these activities. I listed here games, role play, reading, writing, some reference work, drawing, and the teacher introducing the vocabulary. Now the next slide is, when they read, the teacher does not sit quietly in her chair. No, she goes round and locates students who move their lips, or sometimes they be finger pointing like this. Sometimes some children are moving their heads like this from end to end, and then you. And in one of the webinars, I was asked, "Sir, the lip movement has become a habit with them. Even adult learners, even teachers move their lips when they are reading. What do? This must be consciously dealt with. The learner must consciously be made aware of the lip movement and ask the child or the student to keep the finger like this in the mouth, on the lips, and then read. So they will be forced to read not words, but at least some words together. Is it all right? So this is very important. And secondly, if you ask them to refer to the dictionary when they are reading, every time they come across a difficult word, then they can't finish, they won't finish. So encourage them to guess the meaning of some of the words. And thirdly, you must give them the time limit. No, don't say within 5 minutes you can, or take your own time to finish. No, you must have the time. You must have tested it beforehand and say, this passage may take 10 minutes for the students. So I will give them the initial 12 minutes, and then I will say, after the end of 8 minutes, I will want them. 8 minutes are over, as you do it in the examination. Yeah. Giving the time limit will help them to speed up, not simply struggling and not doing anything. After the students' survey, I said survey, find out the main ideas and so on, you give them some questions, ask questions, then ask them to read, and then after first reading, you give them a set of questions like true or false questions. After the second reading, you give them, say, multiple choice questions. And after the third reading, you can have matching type or anything like that. So encourage them to read several times. That is how you also read. If you don't understand some newspaper item, you read it several times. So when after all this is done, you go to the third aspect, namely post-reading activities. Remember, the teacher doesn't sit idle. She goes around checking every student to find out whether they are following your instructions. And some students may be very backward, and you have to pull them out, give them better training, give them from the start them from the lowest scratch and then help them to. You can also enlist the support of students who are good at reading. There will be at least 5 students in the class who are very good at reading. Before you ask them to start reading, they will have completed it. So there will be such students, they will be a nuisance from in a class of 40. Pull them out, ask them to help these children who are lagging behind. Is it possible? Yes, it should be possible. Because students have a better command. I mean, teachers have a better command than teachers in the college, and you can do that. And again, students learn better from their peers, from their own classmates, rather than from the. Now, let us come to the next point. There I will explain this better. Then the first will be comprehension questions like true or false, multiple choice, one word, one sentence answers. After they finish, you give them time here also. 5 minutes. Answer the first questions. 2 minutes. Second question, like that. After they finish each type of questions, each set of questions, ask them to discuss with their neighbors. For I know your complaint will be, your charge will be, sir, if I allow them to read silently and ask them to answer questions, they will be copying from each other. My dear friends, copying will be there. Even they also will be copying if there's a chance. But here what you do is you prevent this copy. How? You ask them to discuss the answers with their neighbors. Yes, every student will discuss the answer with the neighbor. So there is no need to copy from the neighbor. And if they find any difficulty, discrepancy, or some difficulty in really understanding the passage, they will learn from the neighbor. Or if there's a controversy, they will ask it. So after all this is over, the teacher discusses the answers for the entire class. So he will ask one of the students to read out. Reading aloud comes here. Read out the sentence and then we give the answer. And the answer is discussed. And thus, many of the answers can be understood. Many of the important problems can be understood. Right? And as I said, encourage pair work. Sometimes it can be group work, and sometimes the whole class. And again, after doing that, other kinds of activities like role play, like dramatization. Ask them to write the story in the form of a play and then act it out. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. I done it. Even in schools, I have done it. Or it can be some kind of a drawing work, or in advanced level, it will be note taking and summary. So note making is a very important exercise, and note making has its own format, and encourage them to do it. So the other activities are note making, dramatization, or retelling. The students retell the story, or you just ask them, this is the first part of the story, you have to complete it in your own way. So drawing, diagrams, pictures, making models, and so on. All this will be given as most activities. And of course, I will say that if you are going to teach this, you have to follow this. But your lesson may not give you the scope. It will be a very long lesson. Within one period, you cannot complete all these activities. So what you do is you divide the entire lesson into smaller units. So we have 4 units. And then have each passage, each unit, for each unit you prepare these questions, these activities, and then give it to them. But that can come perhaps later. Initially, the reading skill is mastered. And by the time, probably 3 months it will take, tell your principals, your headmasters, and mistresses, we want 3 months to teach them the reading skill. And also, you can get the help of the Tamil teachers. The Tamil teachers also have a problem. Ask them simultaneously to do this in their classroom or Tamil also, so that this transferable skill of reading can be learned in English, transferred to Tamil, or in Tamil, transferred to English. So that will be a very good kind of interrelationship between 2 departments. So This kind of reading program requires a lot of patience on the part of the teacher. I know that there are other difficulties that you had said, probably in your responses to my question. Um, I think I have answered all the areas that you have mentioned. But if a prose lesson teaches moral lessons, doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it. If it is about something else, don't need not worry. But my purpose is to teach the meanings. That's very important. And this sixth point, I don't teach reading skill because there is no time for it. Please note, the prose lesson is meant for teaching reading skill. So the entire time must be devoted only for teaching reading skill. Unfortunately, the lessons in the prose textbook are not graded. Simply they have assembled the lessons, that's all. And the questions given in the text also are not sufficient. They don't get all these things. At this point, I must also mention that the comprehension questions should be of different varieties. I'm going to talk about it now. There are three types of comprehension. One is literal comprehension. You go at the meaning. That's all. The meaning. That's all. Literal meaning, actual meaning. There were 100 students playing. How many students are playing? You answer 100 students. Factual question. But let me put it this way. I used to give this story for listening. I'll give it to you. See how you respond. Now, there was a hunter. He used to go hunting. Now it's prohibited. He can't go hunting. He has a gun. He used to go hunting. Once he went hunting. There was a lake. On the lake there were 3 trees, and on each tree 10 pigeons were sitting. Doves, pigeons were sitting. And our hunter came there. Where are the trees? On the banks of the lake. And he took out the gun, aimed, and shot at the birds. 2 birds fell down. This is the story. Now I'm going to ask these questions. How many pigeons, how many trees were there? Easy, literal question. How many? 3. Now, next question. How many pigeons were there? You must have listened very carefully or read carefully. 10 on each of the trees. So there are 3 trees. Totally there were how many? 30. Very good. Now, how many pigeons are left on the trees? So 30 minus 2, 28. Nothing. Get the answer. Nothing. Why? All the pigeons would have flown off. Why? Why? Because of the gunshot. Well, now here the answer is not found in the text. Where is it? Nowhere. The student must infer the answer. For the second question also, the student must, very good, get question shot, very good responses I get. So, these particular types of comprehension, you must remember, literal, inferential comprehension. The critical comprehension comes next. Do not worry about it at this stage. Your questions must have both literal questions and inferential questions. I do not know whether you will have such passages available ready-made, but I have already sent you those passages and you can use them. There is no copyright restriction. Start tomorrow. Unfortunately, you have the lockdown, but you can try it with the children who are nearby. I give them these passages, and possibly if we have an online program, use this, and you'll find it very relevant. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Susiratnam and his colleagues, and also for having listened to me so well. I know that you have been listening to me so well so far. So you can now put questions to me. I am ready to answer. Thank you. Thank you, Panita and Rashmi. Have I answered those? You know, thank you. When I was going through the responses that you gave for my questionnaire, I was really taken aback. There are so many ways of looking at this reading skill, and the students, most teachers are very flexible. They are ready to learn. No, this is my view, but I am ready to learn. And that is the spirit. I am still learning. I am learning from Mr. Albert, and they are learning from me also. So you can go on learning new things so that who will benefit our students. So your questions, please. I think we can have some 10 more minutes. Can we have Mr. Susaram?
Yes, sir. So, thank you so much for a wonderful session. So, may I ask our participants to, ask questions? So, what you could do is that you could just unmute yourself and then ask a question. Yeah. So, we'll maybe for 10 minutes for question and answer session.
Hello.
I'm getting
Yes.
encomiums. I
Hello.
don't want encomiums. I want only questions.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Sir, my name is Ashok Upadhyay. I am a school teacher. I am a secondary school teacher. Hello.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, go.
hello, sir. First
Yeah,
of all,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I would thank you for your wonderful session. You knew a lot of techniques and takeaways, sir. And I will try to implement all the things, sir, whatever you mentioned today. Sir, my problem is that in my during class, whenever I teach the students, some students don't bring their book. Even I try to form the group also, and I observe in my class some student do not open their lips, as you said. They don't open mouth rarely, and some students are very hesitative in my class. Then, sir, how can I motivate these students, sir? Please.
The reason is, as I said, the passages are too difficult for them, very difficult for them. So I used to say, throw away your textbooks. Your textbooks are meant for testing the examination, that is all. And for that, you can easily prepare them. But if you want to teach them reading skill, prepare passages which they can manage. And I know there is no need for them to get frustrated. They will be frustrated with the textbook. I am
Yes.
frustrated. So what you do is you give passages which are manageable. Stephen Creation used to say that you must give them comprehensible input. The input must be that input that you give them must be understandable, comprehensible. If suppose the student's level is X, give them X plus 1. Don't give them X plus 10. Nowadays, what we give is X power of 10. That's so bad. So choose your passages. That is where your talent as a teacher rests, depends on. Have I answered your question, sir? So, and again, there is a question. Sir, how do you inculcate the habit of reading? In one college, a principal complained, sir, I asked them to go to the library and read books. They don't go to the library at all. They don't read at all. I said, madam, reason is your students do not know how to read. Only if they know how to read, they can go to the library and read. So teach them how to read, then give them books to read. Simplified books, simplified versions. Even simplified versions are difficult. But anyway, there are books now available, uh, uh, available for the children at the lowest level, not children, or even for adolescents. There are books available, very simple books. Even though theme may be childish, doesn't matter. Give it to them. So don't look for authentic materials. Get materials from people who can do it, who can write good English. Ask Dr. Albert Ryan to write simple books for them. I have done it. So it is possible to make them read. Are there questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions from the participants?
Yeah. You know, how do you give them the taste for reading? Which do you like? Do you like sweets? Do you like sweets? Yes, you like.
Yes.
You do. So all children like sweets. So what do? First you give them the sweets, then you give them, or you promise them the sweet, and then you give them something that is necessary for their health. For instance, you say, after you eat all these vegetables, I'll give you salad. I'll give you some sweets, some dessert. Then they will eat all these vegetables. Like this, you have to tell them, read all these very difficult things, but go through it. I'll give you interesting material later. Because all materials are uninteresting. Further, if you go on improving, encouraging them to read, and give them books to read. In English, as I told you, it's available there, available in plenty. In Tamil, they are not. So you can have them, have these books ready with you, have a small library in your classroom, and then ask just display them. That's how one of my friends, former students, used to do in Tamil class. He will have a number of books in his classroom shelf, his own personal copies. And students can come and take any of them. Of course, it is an investment, but I think that investment is worth doing. And you can also ask the friends to contribute their own books which they have finished reading. So they can have simply these books, and then we keep them temptingly, and then some students will come and take them during leisure periods or during some lunch interval, and then they read like this. And if you ask them to go to the library, going to the library will take a long time, and they choose something difficult. So have the books ready with them. And also, even if the parents are not very well educated, ask the parents to buy at least 2 or 3 storybooks a year, or one book in 3 months. And then ask the parents to read those books, if they can read English, along with their children, bedtime stories. That's what they say. But the mother or the father sits with the child, reads out. The child first simply listens to and goes to sleep. Next time, both of them together read. And then thirdly, the child will say, Dad, Mommy, I don't want you. I will read by myself. So this goes on. This taste is developed like this. Here also in the classroom, try to do that. No, if there are some books with you, say multiple copies, you start giving the first part of the story, stop with that. Not completely, some just 5 was a good incident like that, and then give them the book, and then the students will start. But remember, all this can be done only if they know. Any other question? Did I miss any question?
Yeah, there was a question from a participant. He or she is interested in knowing some tips to inculcate the habit of reading among children.
Some textbooks?
No, the tips. Tips to inculcate the habit of reading among children.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Start with very simple books. Have them in the library, in the classroom library. If there is not one, start one. Invest from your own pocket. Ask friends to have this, to have the set of books with them. Help them, give them a few copies, keep them with you, when they're ready. And then when the books are ready, then suppose you have certain things in your face with pictures and all that. Children will be tempted to see them, look at them, and then take them out. In Tamil, there are some magazines which are bringing out uh, uh, some uh, pullouts for children to read, very with lots of illustrations, very simple, in very simple Tamil. I do not know such things materials are available in English, but it's our duty to bring out such books. Books are available in Nestling series. Very simple classics are given in a very simple form. Keep them with you. Don't force anything on them. Let them get a taste. Ask them, sir, what is this? Madam, miss, what is this? I don't understand this. Please tell me the background of the story so that I can read it like that. No? Once you keep them, it's highly motivating. The books are ready, they're ready. They get motivated. Yes, have you answered, Mr. Sasi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Any other questions from the participants?
Newspaper, good idea. But yeah, one second. No, good idea of having some newspaper cuttings.
மாஸ்க் எடுத்து வயல விடா என்ன சொல்லிருக்கேன்
And of course, at a higher level, you can bring newspaper cuttings along with pictures. For instance, about the floods in Kerala. You can bring them and then ask them to read the captions of them. Ask them to find out how many people have lost their lives and the reasons for the floods, how to prevent all these things. If they are given just some. Similarly, the next question I saw some other question.
Yes, sir. I'll read. How to make the students describe the pictures while reading?
That is that's not my aim. You see here because it comes under spoken English and also writing. Well, now anyway, I will give you the hint. Have the picture either posted on the wall or have some pictures with you. Smaller pictures so that everybody can see larger level, and then ask the students to put questions like where is it, where does this take place, how many boys are there, how many girls are there. So A will ask this question, how many girls are playing. B will answer 3 girls are playing. Then the B will ask another question, where does this take place. For the third one will ask question, are there trees in the picture. Like that, it goes on like this in chain. After 5 students will finish, other set will stop. Like this, the entire picture, the items in the picture are exhausted. Then all these things are collected. Ask them to put in the form. So some student will say, this picture is seen on a beach. Then another will say, there are many people. And then another will say, we find the sea at the background. So what the third sentence must come earlier. This is a scene on the beach, and we can see the sea at the background, like that. The order can be rearranged, and a complete set of description can be got. And after this, this can be written. Written exercise can be given. Yes, somebody said, teach them English song. Yes, very good. English songs, right? Not nursery rhymes, but English songs. And then the words, along with that, they sing, and then they read. They can read along with the singing, but it's not always. You must be a singer, or you must have equipment for that. But it doesn't. It is also a motivating fact, right? Yes, this is what I'm saying. At the age of 13, they will be in the 7th grade, 7th form, right? 8th form, 8th standard, 7th or 8th standard. That's a major problem. Now, what you do is, you will find that some students are not able to read even a word. So, collect such students, have them in a separate unit for 3 or 4 students. Then, for them, we can give an exercise like this. You have pictures and then the words. Words, pictures follow. Simply objects, simply objects. And you have the 4 words or 5 words together, 5 pictures. You say dog, then show the picture, match them. Dog, that's the picture. Then like this, you teach them all the 5 words that you got. Then you shuffle them, ask what are the students to match. So the student will find out dog and match it. Like this, it goes on, matching words. Then matching words with the pictures. The next one will be pictures again, this time matching a sentence. The boy is riding a bicycle. He is writing. The teacher is reading like this, So many of the things can be done like this. Sentences can be written on flashcards or strips, and then you can match them. This can be done even by acting. One will be singing, and the student will be having a strip. The girl is singing, and the student who has the strip will go and put it on her. Similarly, another girl will be writing something, and another student will be having this strip. The girl is writing on the board. He will take it and put it on her. Like that, it goes on practicing reading. You can also have the other day suggested the treasure hunt. In treasure hunt, the words are given, like the things are hidden, sentences are given, or words are given, or phrases are given in the forest. Suppose it is given, then the person, the group will go and search behind the picture of a forest. There will be a picture of the forest in the classroom. He will go on, the group will go and search it and then get the point. Like that, there will be clues. These clues can be helpful in finding out the treasure. And this treasure can be used for teaching me. So through games and other activities, you have to first see that the student recognizes not only first words, word recognition, then phrases and sentences, recognize and understand the meaning. Without the help of the cues, they can now understand. They are so trained to take a few days of activity, intense activity. The world map, and then asking them to show like this, in the other class I said about TVR exercise, and here you can have a strip in which you can say raise your hand. It's written on there. You just point out, and all the students will raise their hands like this, and they have to read and comprehend, and they will not realize, they will not be aware of the fact that they are reading. They get that. Without that, they can understand. Even if they do not know the words, they will be aware. That's the point. So, from safe, slow, steady. Somebody has said slow and steady. Slow and steady. And you can win the race. Right? But it will take a long time. Patience on the part of the teacher. And the students also have to struggle. They must be interested. And they must show them that reading makes them happy. So slowly take them. As I said, probably I used to say, it is like flying an aeroplane. No, the strip, the aeroplane has to, the runway strip, the aeroplane has to run for a long time, and then only it takes off. Frustrating. But if it does not run in the runway, it can't take off. So allow them to run. Don't ask the children to take part in a running race before they know how to walk. The toddlers cannot take part in a marathon race. So they must slowly train themselves to that, to go at that level. Some students do it faster, some students do it slower. I think I've answered the questions. Any other?
So any other participant wants to raise a question?
Sir, very good evening, sir. Sir, as you told that the prescribed lesson pros are not graded properly, sir. Then when to teach the college level students, how do we understand the students level, sir? Without knowing the students level, how can we teach them, sir, to improve the reading skill especially?
So, the first task of any teacher is to diagnose the difficulties of the learner. Now, I am a teacher educator. I am a teacher.
Yes, sir.
So, my advice has always been this. Find out, first of all, the difficulty level of your students. Whether it's the college level or school level. At what level are they? If they are not at the level that is expected of them in the first degree or in the 9th standard, prepare them for that level. If you are really dedicated teacher. That's my point. So, even if the lessons are not graded, it doesn't matter. No, you will have the responsibility and also the freedom to start a particular lesson first and then go to the next lesson afterwards, and see that this grading can be done by you, along with your colleagues, along with your head of the department, along with the teachers, along with other teachers. Is it all right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
grading can be done, but before that, see that the students come to the level. So, first of all, diagnosis, then remedial teaching. That has to take place for at least one semester. At least for 2 months it must be done. Not only in English, but also in mathematics. The students forget. Once they finish their 9th standard, they have a long holiday. Now there's a very big problem. Months of holidays. So they would have forgotten everything. So in, say, even in mathematics, children will have forgotten all the formulae, all the ways of teaching, doing a mathematical problem, solving a mathematical problem. So you have to revise everything.
Yes, sir.
Even physics, chemistry, whatever be the subject.
Yes, sir.
So you must see that the students once again learn what they have not learned during their previous class or what they have forgotten. Same way here also, the skills they ought to have learned must be learned now. Without that, nothing can be done. All the 4 skills are important, but today I focused on only reading.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And even a poem, even in teaching literature, we can develop all the 4 skills. In a particular seminar organized by ELT, I demonstrated how all the 4 skills can be inculcated in the students when teaching a poem. So even literature can be used for, literary piece can be used for teaching all the skills.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So maybe we can expect one more last question and then before winding up.
Yes. I can take one more question.
Yes, sir. Yeah. If there are no questions, then we could wind up. Yeah. I think there are. Yeah.
Have I cleared all the doubts or problems in the initial responses to my questionnaire? I hope so.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Are they all converted to my side? I hope so.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Sir, I observed during my class transactions, some students read very fast, very fastly reading, or some students are very slow. They are hard to open their mouth also, as you have said, and some read very average. Sir, I want to know, is there any importance of different types of, their speed of reading?
No, I said, I don't know, open their mouth. You still believe that they must read aloud. Not opening the mouth. I don't mean opening the mouth. Probably you mean understand. They don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now, there are different rates of speeding, reading rates of reading speed. See, for instance, when I read a short story, I can read faster. When I read a newspaper, I still faster. When I read an article in a journal, I will read slowly like that. There are two different rates which one employs. There are a number of theories and experiments on that. That's not going to. Now you will find this is what is the problem. The problem is this. I also mentioned it in one of my sessions. In the classroom there will be 40 students, and all the 40 students will be different from each other. Not only
Yes.
in reading, but also in reading, but also in everything. So I said that the students of at least one level should be put together, and they should be given special treatment. The averages can be helped by themselves or can be helped by their peers. And for the learners who are very fast, we give them a task to help the children who are not able to read at all. Help they learn better from their peers. So this is how you must manage a class, and it's really a tough task. Or I have seen, the moment you give them a text, they will be able to finish it in no time. Right. Now, I do not know, one more, I forgot. Now, I gave passages for you to read through, go through. Do you find that these passages can be used for teaching in the classroom? Can you use it in study? Thank you, Rashmi. Similarly, I think, yes. Bhuvaneshwari, yes. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It can be given to the class. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. So I'm happy that I'm able to change to my way of thinking at least 50 of the how many sir so far?
Yeah, in the beginning it was, 65, no, 65 to 70 participants. Yeah.
So they were, I think they were able to change to some extent, and they will spread this message everywhere. Very important. Spread this message. To explore the myths about reading. Explore the myths about reading and make reading a pleasurable activity. Thank you, Bhuvanesh. Thank you, Jayanam sir. Thank you. We can wind up, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful session. There were more than 139 participants who got registered, but we were happy that there were 70 participants, who took part on this particular webinar. It was really a session, thought-provoking on reading skills. Thank you so much for coming out with a lot of activities on pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading, and some of the other activities also. So what I liked the most was common and practical tips or techniques by which we could improve reading skills among our children. So thank you so much for taking your time. So when I contacted you, you immediately said that you would, you're interested in coming for a webinar on this great auspicious day. So thank you so much, sir, for coming out. And I should also take this opportunity in thanking all the participants for taking their interest on participating in this particular webinar. I would recommend the other participants, you could also just share your comments and feedback in the WhatsApp group that we have already created. So the speaker and the others would be happy to read your comments and the feedback. Yes. And yes, sir.
I have to congratulate all the participants on their excellent responses, on the way in which they have been following my lecture very closely. It's a very good session. I enjoyed doing it. Thank you, Mr. Susatram. Really.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you so much. And before winding up, we have got another webinar on 14th between 4 and 5. Dr. Albert will be our speaker on creativity in ELT. So we are looking forward to your participation on that webinar too. So thank you so much for despite we have been telling that these certificates will not be provided. So we are really happy know that even, so you're not worried about the certificates, but everyone who has participated on this webinar is really interested in improving ourselves. So thank you so much for participating, and we're looking for our next webinar on coding between 4 and 5. So thank you so much.